Well, it didn't take long to find a bit more to talk about. This time I dredged the official forums for any posts of interest since I reviewed them a few days ago, and it turns out that quite a few things have been discussed, not just about Mobile 1.3, but about other versions of Terraria, and so this is why I'm posting this video. Let's begin with a comment from Squirtle Leaf, who said, "Will there be an Easter egg where you can drag the sun or moon in the main title for Mobile 1.3? Loki was there to answer as usual, and he said, "Yep," smiley face. So there you go. Charlie Lemansky asked, "Loki, how will you fly, attack any move in a direction at the same time with a separate jump button? No one likes claw." Charlie, if you want a wall of text, continue asking questions like that, because look what Loki wrote in response to that. Loki replied, "You will have to find your own style, as I have said many times. It will never be 1-to-1 versus PC, for example, where you have one hand operating 3 to 4 discrete commands and the other operating 3 to 5. Even a gamepad is utilizing at least 6 discrete commands at your fingertips at one time. So, when you're trying to take that dynamic and fit it into a mobile dynamic, where you're trying to limit to 2 and at most 3 fingers, or discrete simultaneous commands, you wind up in a spectrum of capability versus simplicity. Current mobile sacrifices capability for simple. Mobile 1.3 focuses more on capability. The specific triple-quadruple combination movements you mentioned, jump, fly, move, aim, fire, are never going to be as simple for all of those reasons. Does that make them impossible? Hardly. I've personally cleared the game, as have many others, which would be nigh impossible if such movements were as completely difficult as some seem to believe. Is it 1-to-1 the same as PC? Nope. Is it a bit awkward sometimes? Sure, especially if you try to use the right stick at the same time. Personally, I used the touchscreen aiming and firing when in this scenario. So why don't you just make it like it was? Well, because like it was fraught with misclicks, control conflicts. Is that up press meaning jump or climb this rope? And lack of capability, looking at you grappling, and so on. All that said, DR has iterated on the alternate jump, double tap swipe on left stick quite a bit, and it is feeling more fluid and reliable now. There are additional plans to dive into this topic further, perhaps weaving in how left stick jump works with the additional customization options being planned for post-launch. At launch though, this is what we have. I would encourage people to actually give it a try and realize they're going to have to adapt to new ways of doing things versus clinging hard to the old ways. And to remember that further iterations and customizations are already planned and will only be further informed by seeing how even more people get along with the new ways. Hope that helps. And as I continue to say, Loki absolutely adores talking about the control scheme, so Charlie Lemansky, you probably knew what you were getting into, but there's your wall of text. I think that was certainly the biggest answer he's given in quite a while, and I hope that informed any of you guys who were wondering about their design philosophy. Anyway, moving along, Doggo24 wrote, "With the press to jump, it looks hard to do multiple things at once. I personally think the up to jump should be a toggled option." And Loki answered in a much more simple reply, "Already explained why that isn't that simple in detail in this thread. Hope that it makes sense." Anyway, back to Charlie Lemansky, who also wrote, "Will the controls actually allow me to use Master Ninja Gear to dash? Or Solar Armor? Also, is it true that I will not be able to auto-swing swords anymore?" Loki replied, "Yes, you can dash. Weapons that have auto-swing as part of their design will auto-swing. Those that do not, will not." So there you go. Cats for Life Kelly wrote, Would it be possible to add a feature to change back to the old controls, or a setting to change the layout so all controls are as customizable as possible? An edit mode to choose where each button and joystick is, and be able to disable some buttons for if we don't think we would use them, basically. To get used to them, the easiest and most efficient movement. Loki answered that with no. The old way is gone. It was fraught with issues related to limited capabilities and conflicts, as I shared elsewhere. There is some customization in now, with more already planned for post-launch. There is also work to make the default left stick alt jump as reliable and smooth as it can be. No matter what, it's change, and change will mean adjustment and adapting. There is no cheap and easy way around that. What had a ton of issues that many folks have shared over the years, what does not have those issues, and the trade-off is twofold. One, that learning period, and two, knowing that this is iteration 1 with further improvements as shared above in the works. Loki also wrote, "No, we will not release any unfinished elements or source code from the Terraria Otherworld project." Again, it was far below our standards, and also again, some of the ideas we had there, many never revealed, may be used later on down the road. And I'm glad he made a comment about this. I suppose some people on the forums were asking about some of the material that had been produced for the now canceled Terraria Otherworld game, and some of it did look pretty cool. It was certainly a visual upgrade to anything seen in Terraria, but it was kind of an ill-fated project. That project was never done by Relogic. It was outsourced, and it never really flourished. It never really developed to the point where they felt it would be a product they were proud of, and so it was canceled, as many of you know. So it's good to know that they're going to be using some of these non-revealed ideas from the game, and probably some of the revealed ideas from Terraria Otherworld in any potential Terraria sequel. But yeah, that's just a little aside. It's nice to get a little update here and there and some commentary on something other than Mobile 1.3, because as excited as we are about Mobile 1.3 and Journey's End, looking further into the future to any potential Terraria sequel, it's nice to think that maybe they have something to work with right off the bat from Otherworld. Anyway, moving on to the Switch version of Terraria, Sally Lane wrote, "When will the multiplayer docked update be available on the download version as the physical version advertises it? Or are you going to force us to buy both?" Loki answered, "There will be no differences like that between the physical and digital copies of the game. When split-screen multiplayer is available, it will be available to both versions at the same time." So they're not trying to shortchange either version of the Switch port of Terraria. Sally Lane followed the original comment up with this comment. "Is there a date for this update yet? As my daughter asks me daily, as we always play split screen together. Please make it soon." Loki wrote to that, "Not yet, no, but it is 100% a topic of current development discussions. Hang in there a bit longer." So that's that. That was everything that I found about the Switch version. Moving back to Terraria 1.3 for mobile devices, Frostbite 7PH wrote, "Is there an official release date for Terraria 1.3 mobile? Because people are saying it will release on August the 16th. Uh-oh, another one of these questions. Well, this time Tunnel King went up to bat for Relogic, and Tunnel King answered, "There is no official release date. Anyone you hear saying a specific date at this time is either making it up or repeating it from someone who made it up. Can't be more clearer than that, and they've certainly said as much on other occasions. In fact, on many other occasions." Loki had another comment about Mobile 1.3. This was regarding the bosses, and I touched a bit on this on some Discord comments that Loki had made in another video I posted recently. But on the official forums regarding mobile bosses, Loki wrote, "Also, great chat on the bosses, but remember, current mobile has a lot of stealth boss nerfs that will no longer be in place. If you are used to just standing in the spot with X weapon and holding down fire to win, well, I would not assume that that will work anymore. If that makes you feel bad as a mobile player, all I can tell you is that they will unnerf the Golem boss on all versions of the game, so even PC players in the not so distant future will have a tougher boss to face in the upgraded Golem, who apparently will no longer be able to be cheesed. As far as mobile bosses go, though, as I've said before, they're making the controls a lot more robust, and so it will probably be a more challenging but rewarding game to play. I would imagine the gameplay will be richer, and of course with that comes greater challenge, and so on the whole, I don't think this is a bad thing for mobile. Anyway, one more comment from Loki regarding Mobile 1.3. Loki wrote, "You can lock your frames per second cap to 30 frames per second to save battery or on lower end phones. And you can turn off some other graphics settings as you wish for a more stable and smooth experience. The choices are yours to make." And this is in keeping with some of his other comments. He said that on his iPhone 10, normally it flies along generally at about 60 frames per second, but on a pumpkin moon, when the game is under as much stress as it really ever would be, it can go down to around 30 frames per second. So even on good phones, you may want to put a frames per second cap. Obviously, as he said, the choice is yours to make. It depends on how particular you are about changes in the frame rate. But anyway, there you go. If it's for consistency or because you have a lower end phone, you can certainly toggle the graphic settings to get the performance to hopefully as close to where you want it to be as possible. Anyway, that's it for now. You know how often these videos come out, so they're always talking about Mobile 1.3 and of course about other versions of Terraria, so I'll keep my ear to the ground on this. That was it for now. Hope everyone has a good weekend, and it looks like we're only about 10 days or so away from the August state of the game. So worst case scenario, we're still within 2 weeks from getting the month's major news and hopefully some new images and video, but that remains to be seen. Anyway, thanks again as always for everyone's support. I do appreciate it. Thanks to everyone on the official forums for posing these questions, because without your questions, we obviously wouldn't have any answers either. So thanks to all who were posing these questions and drew out this information from Relogic. Anyway, take care guys. I will see you next time.